Good evening from Kensington. The capital is once again in shock. Grenfell Tower was home to hundreds of people. In the early hours, it turned into a deadly inferno. By day, horrific stories of people jumping out of windows, even a baby being thrown to safety. Incredibly, residents had warned the landlords in November they were playing with fire. Tonight, so many questions. Sometimes there are no words. Tonight, though, we have to find them to try to comprehend what has happened here. So far, we know at least 12 people have been killed, but many more are still unaccounted for 17 hours on. We know someone who lived in the smouldering shell that's left of the tower block behind me was scared that a fire like this could happen. They warned everyone who would listen, all those who had responsibility. Well, they were right. There are some harrowing images in our first report tonight from Rags Martel.
Not as high as that flat.
The fire lit the night sky. A blazing building with people inside. Through the smoke, people wave for help.
There's a family there, there's a kid.
He just stuck his head out. Oh my God. We saw people looking out the window screaming help, help, flashing their lights and everything. And now all those windows, people are gone.
London Fire Brigade were called at 12:54 a.m. The first responders on site within 6 minutes. But the fire spread with terrifying speed. On the top floors, surrounded by flames, people trapped in their homes.
I'm obviously heartbroken for all the people that have perished, and I know they have, because I was looking up at the windows and I could see people screaming, "Get us out," banging the windows, little kids. And then the windows exploding and all that. We're watching all this. It's a nightmare. It's something that will stick me with the rest of my life.
Eddie Defan was on the 16th floor.
A neighbour of mine from downstairs phoned me and he said, "Look, you need to get out of the building." So I went into the bathroom and I wrapped a wet towel around my face, and then I run out of my door.
Tie a rope on his handkerchief or something.
In this phone footage, sheets were tied together to form a makeshift rope, but it doesn't quite reach the ground.
I saw people jumping out of windows, throwing their children out of windows, turning lights on and off to grab people's attention. It was horrible.
On the top floor, someone uses a light switch in a desperate bid to be saved. Residents were at first told to stay in their flats, but after fire surrounded them, they could only scream for help.
People screaming, people shouting, people using their phones and I don't know, trying to get to tell us that they're there screaming and shouting. But I think by then it was too late for anyone to help them. But I do believe that whoever did, if someone did tell them to stay in the building, that was wrong.
Grenfell Tower is home to 120 flats. It's thought up to 600 people live there. On the ground, rescued children given oxygen. Through the night, emergency services took the injured to hospital. But this rain of fire overwhelmed even the most experienced firefighters.
In my 29 years in the London Fire Brigade, I have never seen a fire of this nature, and I have seen many high-rise fires.
The Fire Commissioner has taken me to see for myself Grenfell Tower, and it is extremely distressing and devastating.
As the sun rose, the flames could be seen across London. The battle to contain the fire continued. Some residents blamed the building's new cladding, which had recently been added to the outside walls.
And I see the fire blazing and coming up really fast because of the cladding. The cladding was flammable, and it just caught up like a matchstick.
At 7 a.m, the high-rise fire continued to burn. Those who escaped took shelter nearby. Well, this has become an unofficial rest centre. Many people here were evacuated from the tower hours ago, many still don't know if their loved ones are still alive. 12-year-old Jessica Urbano among the many still missing tonight. This man was still trapped inside the building this morning. He was saved, but many who called this place home are still unaccounted for. Rags Martel, ITV News.
Incredibly, a residents' group had accused the tower block's landlords of playing with fire back in November, saying only a catastrophic event would expose their concerns. Tonight, then, so many questions about the building itself, including this. Why did the new cladding, the grey and white panels you can see, which were put on the outside of the block during a major refurbishment last year, seem to burn so very quickly? Also, there are questions about the advice tower block residents are given to stay in their flats and wait to be rescued, and why there were no sprinklers or a fire alarm. Nick Wallace investigates.
The aftermath of an ongoing disaster. How could a fire spread through Grenfell Tower so quickly and with such devastating consequences?
I was watching from my back garden, and that whole building went in about half an hour, maybe 40 minutes. So something went severely wrong. I don't know whether it was cheap materials or shoddy design, but if you were here last night and saw that building go up at that speed, somebody's done something wrong, and they need to be held to account. Those people did not have to die in that building.
Judith Blakeman has represented tenants in Grenfell Tower for more than 35 years.
Many of the residents felt that their concerns were just being tossed aside and being treated as an overreaction because of all that had gone before, with all the problems during the refurbishment process, and it was just tenants and residents being a general nuisance yet again, finding something else to complain about.
But now everyone's worst nightmares happen.
Yes, it has, and that's indefensible.
The 24-storey Grenfell Tower was built in 1974. It contains at least 120 flats with an estimated 400 to 600 residents. The block had recently been given a multi-million-pound facelift, with work finishing in May last year. 9 new flats were created in the lower floors, and new windows, exterior cladding and a heating system were installed. But what it doesn't have is a sprinkler system or a central fire alarm, and the floor plans show there was only one stairway out. Despite all this, Grenfell Tower was passed safe after the refurbishment was completed. One theory for the rapid spread of the fire is the insulating cladding which was attached to the concrete exterior of Grenfell Tower as part of last year's facelift. Neighbours who saw the building go up say it seemed to act like a firelighter. We're about 200 yards downwind of the Grenfell Tower, and as you can see, the ground behind me is strewn with this. It looks like the newly attached foam cladding which was put on the outside of the building and which so many witnesses say was responsible for the rapid spread of the flames. Fire safety in London's tower blocks has been criticised before. This fire in Camberwell killed 6 people. Residents of high-rise buildings are now told to stay put in their flats, even if it's on fire. But that advice could have cost some residents of Grenfell Tower their lives. And what do you think about the stay put policy?
I think that's very ridiculous. I mean, if a building's on fire, even if all the flats catch fire and you're the only flat, say, in the middle of the block, there is no way you're going to be saved. There's no point in you staying put.
Whatever the cause, the government's announced that checks are going to be carried out on all tower blocks going through a refurbishment process to forestall the possibility of a tragedy of this scale happening again. Nick Wallace, ITV News, Kensington.
Well, let's endeavour to get some answers now. I'm joined by Robert Black from the Tower Block Landlords, the company that manages this building, Kensington and Chelsea Tenant Management Organisation. Robert, there is sadness and shock, distress here tonight. There is also anger. There is a protest going on just behind you. You had warnings. You had several warnings. You were accused, the company, of playing with fire. What do you say to the residents who have survived this overnight?
So I think I'd start off, Nina, by saying that actually we're repeating a complete shock and condolences what's happened today, and our thoughts are with everybody that's currently affected and still affected. And I've been here since 3:30 this morning, working on the ground as part of my job with RBKC to try to actually manage the outcome of that devastation, make sure people are covered, they've got somewhere to go tonight.
Sure,
and
part of your job before this rescue operation was to keep people safe. People weren't kept safe in that building that we're looking at now. And people who lived there, 120 flats, many of them warned you, not once, time and time again, that only a catastrophic event, the likes of which we have seen overnight, would lead action to be taken. Why didn't you listen to the warnings?
So what I'd say to that, Nin, as a tenant management organisation, we do listen to people, and we have listened to people, and that's what we're doing. Now, you can rightly understand at the moment I cannot make any comment about all the accusations that are going about, because I've got an ongoing police and fire brigade investigation.
I do understand that. We know that with new builds, they have to have sprinklers inside. Do you regret the fact that this tower block here in Kensington hasn't got sprinklers?
Confirm this isn't a new build,
no,
it's
I know,
a refurbishment.
But that's the aim, isn't it? So new builds have sprinklers. Some old builds get sprinklers installed. This didn't. Do you regret that?
What I have to say is I cannot comment on what these issues at the moment, because I'm trying to work out the things on the ground, and those we will take part in a full investigation to find out, and we'll address through that investigation all the issues that have been raised.
And this is your responsibility, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We need to move on to the talk, and again, this is early stages. This is the early stage of the investigation, but this issue about the cladding we saw that seemed to just burn so easily, which made it so hard for people, we think, to get out, and for the fire rescue crews, 200 firefighters, so difficult for them to get in.
So, Nina, what can I say is actually we have no expectation this would happen. We are absolutely devastated by it, and we're actually trying to work out. Now, at this stage, I can listen to what people are saying, but I don't have any information, and therefore actually it's really difficult for me to comment. We will be working with the fire brigade and the police, and as you can imagine, their ongoing investigation isn't even finished
I
yet.
understand that, and I understand it is great that you are being accountable tonight and being here. But we have seen in this city, the Lakanal House fire, where Tower Block residents were killed only a few years ago in 2009, and around the world we've seen Tower Block fires. It must be a huge responsibility to try to keep people safe, but you didn't keep them safe, did you?
So what I'd say is it's a huge responsibility which we take seriously. What I have to work out now, along with the investigation, and find out what happened, because everything we have done is in line with the building controls laid down.
How many other tower blocks have you got?
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Are those residents safe tonight? Some of them might be watching this programme. They're going to bed tonight. They want to wake up in the morning.
Absolutely, and of course that's our concern, and that's what we're working on now. So I can't... The position of our fire safety strategy is in line with most other local authorities.
Can you guarantee their safety tonight?
Well, what I can say is that we were working to make sure they're safe all the time.
Robert Black, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you
do
very much,
appreciate
Nina.
you joining me.
Cheers.
Thank you. Well, as the fire took hold inside the tower, those outside were woken by the sirens and then by the screams. Many had family or friends who lived on the upper floors, and there were frantic phone calls, as you can imagine, as they tried to warn them of the rapidly spreading blaze. Luke Hanrahan has been speaking to those trying to contact the people trapped inside.
And I said to her, you gotta go down the stairs now.
Francis has no idea if his sister and 2-year-old nephew are alive or dead.
I was phoning her, listen, I'm here for you. Where are you? She said, I'm still up there. I was like, no, you cannot be.
He could see the fire raging, managed to call her on the phone. She spoke from her 14th floor flat before the line went dead.
I said to her, Zainab, you need to get out of the building because it's not looking good. I said, use the stairs, use the stairs. I said, don't worry about the smoke, just use the stairs and come down. She tried. At one point, her son collapsed. I said to her, you need to give him mouth to mouth.
Zainab and her son Jeremiah are still missing. There were 140 homes here, with many people still unaccounted for, leaving dozens desperate for news. Jade Ellis lives close by.
I've seen 3 firemen in tears. You know, it's so tragic. They made me cry because they cried.
Her friend Marcia and Marcia's 3 boys were inside the block.
I'm just hoping that she got out of the building, because I'm not sure yet.
This woman arrived shortly after 1 a.m, desperately searching for relatives. She phoned.
My sister-in-law picked up and they were stuck in the lift because the fire exit was on fire and they couldn't get out of it. They were in the lift and they stuck there. someone pulled the lift open and they took them out.
Her father-in-law hasn't been heard from.
Are you very concerned now that he is dead?
To be honest, I have hope. I'm just praying to God that he's okay.
Just some among many who thought they were safe in their homes, but were stuck, sealed in and unable to escape. As firefighters search inside, many outside still desperately looking for those they love and hope they haven't lost. Luke Hanrahan, ITV News.
Well, from that first emergency call at 5 to 1 in the morning, it quickly became clear London was once again dealing with a major incident. The injured were taken to 6 different hospitals. Let's get the latest on those who survived. This from one of them. Ivor Bennett is at St Mary's near Paddington this evening. Ivor, what are medical teams telling you there?
Well, as you say, this is one of 6 hospitals across the capital that have been treating the injured, and also, therefore, one of those places where worried relatives have been coming in their frantic search for loved ones who they're yet to hear from. We know 78 people in total were treated for some level of injuries. 34 are remaining in hospital tonight, of whom are in a critical condition. We understand 3 of them are being treated here at St Mary's in Paddington. We don't know the full extent of their injuries. The London Ambulance Service only saying they had to treat a range of injuries, including smoke inhalation. They are still at the scene tonight and have released a statement urging Londoners to only call them in a genuine emergency. They had to throw a lot of resources at this, a team of only over 100, including paramedics, a specialist trauma team from the London Air Ambulance, as well as a hazardous area response team. And so they're obviously stretched tonight, and they say if you do require urgent advice, then call NHS 111.
Ivor Bennett, thank you very much. As you can see, I'm joined now by the Labour MP Jim Fitzpatrick. He's the Secretary of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Fire Safety and Rescue and served as a London firefighter for 20 years. Jim, thank you. People without your expertise and experience, especially as a firefighter, will be so shocked, are so shocked that a building could go up so quickly, that the fire would spread so quickly.
Well, I heard the Commissioner of London Fire Brigade, Danny Cotton, speaking earlier on today, and she's got 29 years operational experience, and she says she's never seen a fire like it. So it's not a question of people in the fire brigade even recognising this type of disaster. This is singular.
And we had, you know, dreadful, distressing shades of 9/11 when you're hearing people describing people being trapped in windows, flashing torchlights, jumping out of windows, and even a baby being thrown to somebody who we hear was caught. I mean, it's just dreadful. They're
shocking images. And after the Lakanal House fire in Southwark in 2009, where 6 people lost their lives and over 20 were seriously injured, the coroner's inquiry made a whole number of recommendations to try to prevent these kind of tragedies happening again. This shouldn't be happening in 21st century London. We've got the engineering, we've got the construction methodology, we've got the fire protection systems to prevent these kind of fires from taking place. There'll be very serious questions which have to be answered as a result of this fire.
There are accusations this evening that the Lakanal House fire, where 6 lives were claimed, was not taken seriously, and those recommendations weren't acted on immediately simply because so few people died, which is a ridiculous thing. 6 people died, and yet we are now years on and this has happened. Why do you think those recommendations weren't taken seriously?
Well, I think a lot of the recommendations were taken seriously, and I know London Fire Brigade inspected every similar block right across the capital. That was one of the first steps that were taken. The question is how many of the recommendations from the coroner's inquiry were acted upon and how many weren't. One of the major recommendations was a review of fire protection legislation and building regulations, which would have changed the fire protection systems in buildings like this. Government's had that recommendation since 2013, and we're still waiting for them to tell us when they're going to undertake the review and when we're going to get the conclusions and recommendations from that.
With the firefighters' hat on, how difficult was it for those 200-strong team to go in? We're talking about a tower block with a single stairway. The fire was spreading rapidly. People were trying to get out. How difficult a job was that?
It would have been extremely difficult. They would have been faced and confronted with a whole number of tasks. It's an overused cliche of recent weeks with the terror attacks about our emergency service workers, in this instance firefighters, running towards danger when Citizens are running away. They conducted themselves professionally. They would have done everything they could to tackle the blaze, to help with the evacuation, to carry out rescues of people who needed assistance.
Yep.
But it was a massive task, and clearly the speed, the rapidity of the fire spread would have created something they've never seen before.
Jim Fitzpatrick, many thanks for joining me here this evening. Thank you. All of those who live in the flats in the tower block now have no home to return to, so several help centres have been opened in the community this evening. Nearby, other residents, as well as local shops and restaurants, have been offering to provide food and clothing for those affected, as Ronke Phillips now reports.
This was community spirit at its best. People came from near and far, bringing everything the victims would need, including food, water, clothing and even mattresses.
Baby clothes and socks. And,
These two women had never met until they bumped into each other at a supermarket and realised they were both buying items for the people caught up in the tragedy.
I bought some clothes for children and nappies and sanitary towels and baby food and things like that, because obviously people left in their pyjamas and they have nothing at all.
This emergency reception centre at Latimer Community Church Hall is being run entirely by residents, and local businesses have also rallied round, donating breathing masks for people to protect themselves from the black ash which is still raining down from the building. Danny Donaldson found himself in charge of coordinating everyone who wanted to help, including these workers from a nearby building site.
The people can come and just take a toothpaste, toothbrush, bottles of water, cornflakes, soap, powder.
And people are bringing these from the community, aren't they?
Yeah. And this is a very poor community.
People are also bringing supplies to this community centre a short distance away, and a number of others in the area. And once again, it's just members of the public wanting to do whatever they can to help. The emergency centres are also dealing with families desperately hoping to be reunited with their missing loved ones. This woman has spent the day trying to find her sister and 12-year-old nephew who lived on the 18th floor.
I phoned her, but I was ringing, but she doesn't answer it. And I've been looking around everywhere, but I couldn't find her.
12-year-old Lulia Benia is also missing. Her sister and a family friend explained how the youngster somehow got separated from her mother as they fled the flames.
Obviously really worrying and very distressed. Her mother's inside the unit there. She's having a breakdown.
The traumatised, the homeless and those needing comfort. The emergency centres have proved a haven for them all. Ronke Phillips, ITV News.
Lucrezia Millarini is at one of the other rescue centres tonight at the Rugby Portobello Trust in Notting Hill. Lucrezia, it can't be underestimated just how much of a huge effort it is to provide for everyone there and across this area.
And a huge community effort. I've been down here for the best part of the afternoon and I've just seen person after person with carrier bags full of clothing, blankets, toys for the children affected, essentially water as well. There's even an ice cream van here handing out ice cream on a very, very warm day. One of the volunteers been here since 5 o'clock in the morning, joins me now, Satnam, from the local Sikh temple, also Khalsa Aid. You've been here since 5 o'clock in the morning. Give us a sense of what it's been like all day.
Terrible seeing people have broken their houses, like families are broken, people crying, looking for their loved ones. It's been terrible. The community, local community has been really nice in helping out, like bringing the water. I personally, first, when I woke up 5 o'clock in the morning, I saw the news and first thing it came to mind, they might need help. So I just got up and called my friend. I said, just get out, let's do something.
Yeah,
so we just went out to the 24-hour Sainsbury's, filled up the car and they fully stopped us. We can't go in there.
And this has been happening all day though. People have been bringing so much.
Then I called Ravi from CEO from Khalsa. I said, listen guys, we need to come here. Because we need help here. So our community has been ringing us. What you guys need?
Crucially, what do people need here right now, this time of the evening?
Right now, I think that they don't need much stuff. They've been loaded with the stuff. But what we're going to do now in a couple of hours, I think most of the community is Muslim people.
Yeah.
So they've been doing, that's their Ramadan month, and they haven't been eating or drinking water. They've been hard.
Satnam, thank you. We've run out of time, but listen, thank you for talking to us. Nina, it's going to be a very, very busy night here for everyone involved.
Lucrezia, thank you. And if you would like to volunteer yourself to help those affected, you can find details on our Facebook page. Just search for ITV London. And crucially, if you are still waiting to hear from someone yourself, we must give you the special helpline number. It is 0800 096 1233. That is 0800 096 1233. Tonight's other main story is the reopening of Borough Market 11 days after the London Bridge terror attack. It comes as the inquest opened into 3 deaths. Here's Martin Stew.
As Borough traders opened the shutters this morning, they aim to close one of the most traumatic chapters in the market's 1,000-year history.
We still raw from the events that happened 11 days ago, but also we're doing what we do best today and what we can do most to help, I think, which is getting back to running this place as a market, to reclaim this space.
At a quarter to 10, the market fell silent.
London is open, Borough Market is open.
As the market bell chimed, down the road inquests opened into the deaths of Christine Archibald, Xavier Thomas and Alexander Piergard, 3 of the 8 victims. Paul Wheeler was the man given the honour of ringing the bell.
I was only going to ring once or twice, but once I started, I just didn't want to stop. It was bizarre. Just didn't want to stop, just wanted to let everyone know we're back.
For many of this tight-knit community of traders, this morning was the first time they've been back.
It's like somebody has gone into your home and has just kind of broken things. And for a moment there, I think we all lost a little bit of hope, but the hope's back.
There's been a market in Borough for the last 1,000 years. The Luftwaffe couldn't stop it. Not going to let these terrorists stop it either.
We're here today, and we're going to carry on being here. You know, so what was their aim? To destroy, to frighten? That might have been their aim, but it ain't going to work.
Of course, it's not business as usual. Some things have changed, but the spirit of the market remains. Martin Stew, ITV News.
So, while this city is trying to get back to some semblance of normality after its second terror attack in 3 months, now this, an actual towering inferno, an incomprehensible sight. The coverage continues with Mary straight after the weather, but from all of us on the London team, bye-bye.